Welcome back, students, to the second part of the chapter, From Trade to Territory. Let us continue. Euro 2020 has begun this June, just as Olympics 2020 will begin in July 2021. For all the football fans, there is a double dhamaka of Euro finals and Copa America. The sights we see of stadiums from a bird's eye view are captured by using drones for photography and filming. Besides aerial photography, drones are used for geographic mapping, weather forecasts, as well as for military surveillance purposes. This article headline informs us that America is providing Ukraine with counter-drone electronic warfare equipment to keep a check on Russia. Why is that? Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, and there's trouble in Donbas as well since then. Since January 2021, there have been military clashes between Russia and Ukraine, and it is estimated that Russia has sent at least 80,000 soldiers to the border with Ukraine. As informed, Russia annexed Crimea, which was a part of Ukraine. So what does annexation mean? Well, annexation means taking possession of land or country, usually by force or without permission. In India, many kingdoms were taken over by the British through its policy of annexation. And that's exactly what we are going to look at in today's subtopic, Company Rule Expands. From 1757 to 1857, the British East India Company rarely launched a direct military attack on unknown territory. After the Battle of Buxar in 1764, the company appointed residents in Indian states. They were political or commercial agents, and their job was to serve and further the interests of the company. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne and who was to be appointed in administrative posts. Sometimes the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. Lord Richard Wellesley introduced the system of subsidiary alliance. As per the term of this alliance, the king could not maintain an army. The company would provide forces for protection, and the king would have to pay the company for the protection. So this was daylight robbery. If the king failed to pay, a part of his territory was taken away. In 1801, the Nawab of Awadh was forced to give half of his territories to the British, and Hyderabad too had to give away territories as per subsidiary alliance.
However,
Whenever there was a threat to British political or economic interests, the company resorted to direct military confrontation. This is best illustrated with the southern Indian state of Mysore that was ruled by Hyder Ali and later by his son Tipu Sultan. Mysore controlled the profitable trade of the Malabar coast, where the company purchased pepper and cardamom. In 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper and cardamom to the British through the ports of his kingdom and disallowed local merchants from trading with the company. He had established trading ties with France through the French East India Company. Tipu Sultan modernized his army with the help of the French. The British were furious. They saw Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan as ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous. The British fought 4 wars with the state of Mysore, and it was only in the 4th battle that they were successful in conquering Mysore. The company forces were defeated by Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan in several battles. But in 1792, attacked by the combined forces of the Marathas, the Nizam of Hyderabad and the British Company, Tipu Sultan was forced to sign a treaty with the British by which 2 of his sons were taken away as hostages. In the 4th Battle of 1799, Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Seringapatam, and Mysore was placed under Vodiyar dynasty with a subsidiary alliance. Tipu Sultan has always managed to remain a topic for discussion in India, as you can see in this television debate. Tipu Sultan is known as the Tiger of Mysore, and it is said that he fought a tiger unarmed with his bare hands until he was able to reach his dagger to kill the tiger. The toy that we see over here is a picture of a big mechanical toy that Tipu possessed. You can see a tiger mauling a European soldier. When its handle was turned, the toy tiger roared and the soldier shrieked. This toy tiger is now kept in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. The British took it away when Tipu Sultan died defending his capital Seringapatam on 4th May 1799. Did you know that Tipu Sultan was the original rocket man of India? He defeated the British with Indian rockets in the 1780 Battle of Guntur. Now it is time for a quick recap. Question number 1. Who introduced the system of Subsidiary Alliance? What were the terms of the Subsidiary Alliance? Who had to cede half his territory in 1801? Who controlled profitable trade off the Malabar coast? Under whom was Mysore placed after the defeat of Tipu Sultan? In which battle was Tipu Sultan defeated in 1799? Here I have another set of questions, but they are Bollywood based. These are films that have their base in history, and all you have to do is guess the title. Are you ready? Identify the movie. Yes, it is 2018 film Padmavat that was forced to change its title from Padmavati to Padmavat. Guess the title of this film. Yes, it's Bajirao Mastani. Guess the title of this one. Panipat. This film is based on the Third Battle of Panipat, which took place on the 14th of January in 1761 between the Marathas and the King of Afghanistan, Ahmad Shah Abdali. This period film takes us to our subtopic, War with Marathas. Three battles were fought at Panipat. In the first battle in 1526, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi to establish the Mughal dynasty. In the second battle of Panipat in 1586, Akbar defeated Hemu, and in the third battle of Panipat, on which the movie that we have looked at is based, Ahmad Shah Abdali defeated the Marathas. From the late 18th century, the company also sought to curb and eventually destroy Maratha power. With their defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Maratha dream of ruling from Delhi was shattered. They were divided into many states under different chiefs belonging to dynasties such as Scindia, Holkar, Gaikwad and Bhonsle. These chiefs were held together in a confederacy under a Peshwa, who became its effective military and administrative head based in Pune. Mahatji Scindia and Nana Fadnis were two famous Maratha soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. The First Anglo-Maratha War began with British support for Raghunath Rao's bid for the office of the Peshwa. The British were defeated at Vargaon in January 1779, but they continued to fight the Marathas until the conclusion of the Treaty of Salbai, and the sole British gain was the island of Salsette adjacent to Bombay. The Second Anglo-Maratha War was caused by the Peshwa Bajirao II's defeat by the Holkars and his acceptance of British protection by the Treaty of Bassein in December 1802. The Third War was the result of an invasion of Maratha territory in the course of operations against Pindari robber bands by the British Governor-General Lord Hastings. The Peshwa's forces, followed by those of the Bhonsle and Holkar, rose against the British, but the Scindia remained neutral. Defeat was swift. followed by the pensioning of the Peshwa and the annexation of his territories, thus completing the supremacy of the British in India. The Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bithur near Kanpur with a pension. The company now had complete control over the territories of the Vindhyas. Under Lord Hastings, a new policy of paramountcy was initiated that declared the British as supreme power that could annex any kingdom. However, this process did not go unchallenged. For instance, when the British attempted to annex Kittur in Karnataka, Rani Channamma took to arms and led an anti-British resistance movement. She was arrested in 1824 and died in prison in 1829. But Rayanna, a poor Chaukidar of Sangoli in Kittur, carried on the resistance. With popular support, he destroyed many British camps and hukas. He was caught and hanged by the British in 1830. In the late 1830s, the East India Company were worried that Russia, known as USSR at that time, may try to invade India. To secure the northwestern frontier, the British fought a long war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company rule in Afghanistan. Sindh was taken over in 1843 by the British. Next in line was Punjab. But Maharaja Ranjit Singh was too strong for the British. It was only after his death in 1839 that two prolonged wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom, and finally in 1849 Punjab was annexed by the British. On this map, you can see the bifurcation of the state of Punjab with the partition of India in 1947. In this BBC poll conducted by BBC World Histories magazine and published in March 2020, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the leader of the Sikh Empire, was voted as the greatest leader of all time. He was praised for creating a new tolerant empire. The Kohinoor diamond, which is currently in the possession of the Queen of England, was once a part of Maharaja Ranjit Singh's treasure. Maharaja Ranjit Singh was a secular leader. His army included talented Hindus, Muslims, and European warriors and generals. He hired European mercenaries to train his army. His first modern Indian army was called the Sikh Khalsa Army, which helped prevent the British from colonizing Punjab during his lifetime. Till date, he is known as Sher-e-Punjab, that is, Lion of Punjab, for his liberal patronage. Maharaja Ranjit Singh never wore a crown when he sat on his throne, since everyone is considered equal before God in Sikhism. The gold and marble work of the iconic Golden Temple in Amritsar was also done under his patronage. Time for a commercial break. Well, I'm not an LIC agent, but I picked the word lapsed from this advertisement. Here, the policy would lapse if it is not renewed or claimed. The British too used another policy of annexation called the Doctrine of Lapse. After the annexation of Punjab, the final wave of annexations occurred under Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor-General from 1848 to 1856. He introduced the Doctrine of Lapse. It declared that if any Indian ruler died without a male heir, that is, without a son, his kingdom would lapse, that is, become a part of company territory. No adopted son would be allowed to be the next king. So, in this manner, the entire kingdom would go to the British. Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur and Jhansi all were taken one by one. Finally, in 1856, the company also took over Audh or Awadh under the pretext of misgovernment. Marked in yellow are areas under the British at the initial phase, and we will now see how the yellow area kept on increasing and increasing. Question time. What shattered the Marathas' dream of ruling from Delhi? Who introduced a new policy of paramountcy? Which queen fought against the British policy of paramountcy? Name the great king of Punjab who fought and held back the British. Who introduced the Doctrine of Lapse? What did the Doctrine of Lapse declare? With that, we conclude part 2 of the chapter. See you next for the third and final part of this lesson. Thank you.